All right, guys, welcome back to day number 11 of the Fit Shake Project. Now, today I've got a fun and special interview for you with my girl, Alyssa Ritchey. This girl is such a firecracker of good energy, witty jokes, and she's got this just kind of tell you how it is type of attitude. She's so much fun to listen to. She's a former Team USA weightlifter, a CrossFit Games-level athlete, and a bikini bodybuilding competitor that was willing to do whatever it took to reach her goals. I bet you can relate to that. So she was well on her way to actually claiming the world title for Olympic lifting when her body literally started to shut down on her. Okay, so this girl, she's a total pro at cutting weight. She's an expert at making weight for lifts, cutting anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds in a week. And Alyssa realized something was really wrong when she struggled to, lose the weight for her Olympic lifting meets. No matter how hard she tried, all her tricks weren't working. And turns out her inability to lose the weight had nothing to do with calories, and it had everything to do with stress. Like many competitive athletes and go, go, go women, Alyssa was officially diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis from overtraining, overworking, overstressing, and was forced to pull out of her athletic career when she was at the peak. Today, she has a completely new outlook on fitness and how to achieve it. She just wants to look and feel good without being psychotic with food and having to work out. In this interview, Alyssa talks about what her transition has been like and why she is the happiest she's ever been. I can't wait for you guys to hear what she has to share. Some of my favorite things that we discussed are: one, quitting CrossFit because she felt like a slave to the gym and how it was ruining her relationship. Two, her hypothyroid, adrenal fatigue, and overtraining symptoms such as lack of motivation, hair falling out, not sweating, unable to lose weight, being angry and irritable, etc. Number three, how she's able to stay fit without obsessing over it these days. Number four, what her diet and workouts look like today. Number five, her advice for women that eat well, work out, but are struggling to lose the weight. So enjoy this show, guys. There's lots of good nuggets in here. And if you want to connect with Alyssa, make sure you follow her on Instagram at Alyssa Ritchey 1. And also check out her website at alyssaritchey.com for all her retreats that she has planned for the next year. All right, guys, enjoy the show. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Awesome, dude. Well, welcome to the show. I'm super stoked to have you on.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here for sure. It was cool because I got to interview you and now you get to interview me.
Yeah. It's just really cool because I know you're going through like some changes right now. So I'm really curious to just kind of hear what it's been like for you. I didn't really, I've read some of your posts here and there. You know how it is. You kind of like, actually these days it's kind of like you see something from like a week ago and then like an hour ago. So it'll be exciting to kind of hear the full story here. But yeah, so basically what I want to do is I just want to get right into it and just kind of start off with like learning a little bit about what your history has been like. I know you were a gymnast and then you were a CrossFitter that turned weightlifter. So can you just kind of give us like a quick rundown of like your athletic background, like what sport and what level you reached in each?
Sure. Yeah. So I started off at 9 years old. So this is kind of how it all started. My mom and dad said, like, you can have a horse or you can be a gymnast. And I chose obviously gymnastics. A lot of the reason I did is because Dominique Moceanu was like my absolute all-time favorite gymnast. And I just was blown away by the like strength of these girls. They just look so beautiful and they're like leotards and like their muscles just popped. And I just always loved their like tight buns and their glitter all over their faces and their sparkly uniforms. And it just was like, just the strength of the girls, really, it was just powerful to me as a little girl. So then my mom and dad let me start gymnastics when I was 9, and I ended up switching gyms when I was, I want to say around like 10 and a half. They were just holding me back and not allowing me to reach my full potential. I was a really good gymnast, really good. And they kept holding me back in level 4 to like win team trophies. And my mom found that out and got super angry, super angry.
Yeah.
And I was, cause she was I mean, it's like $5,000 a year to be a gymnast. Back then, 5,000 is a lot of freaking money, especially when my parents didn't really have that. And so the investment was huge. And then on top of that, they just weren't moving me up. So we moved gyms, switched gyms, and I became a level 4 right away. But then she promised she was going to move me up to 5, and then basically kind of skip 5, do like a meet at 5 and go right to 6. Well, then I went right to 6, and then same thing kind of happened there. I was held back. Like my best friend got moved up before I got moved up, and I was clearly the better athlete. And I'm not saying that because like, oh, it's me, Alyssa Ritchey, like I'm the better athlete. It was more like I had a higher skill set and I was able to reach that level quicker than her. And I proved it at a camp we went to, Woodward. I went there for probably, it was like every year we went as a team, and I went and I like threw all these awesome like tricks on all the beam, bars, floor, vault. And Amy, the coach, was like, oh my gosh, like I should have moved her up. Like, or, the other girl. And I was just like, that's all I needed to hear to kind of solidify, like, yeah, you screwed up. So then I moved on to track and field. I quit gymnastics because the coach was just a lot. I mean, if you know Bella Caroli, like we're talking like yelling and just, it's not someone that you really want to be around and have your, 11-year-old kid like around when you're that little. You're supposed to be having fun in sports. You're supposed to have attitude of like the love for the sport and just being a kid, not like being a psychotic like person that's such a like, I don't know, perfectionist, and everything has to be like about the sport when you're that little. Like that at that time, it's just let your kid do their thing. My parents did, but my coach didn't. So my parents left it up to me. I ended up quitting because it was just too much. It was just too much. I actually developed like a nail biting habit that I still have to this day because of how nervous I was. Yeah. If you cried in practice, you have to go in the locker room and sit, and you don't get to train anymore for gymnastics with that coach. There was a time when I was on the floor and I came back, and I got first against the best team in like Northwest Ohio. And I only got first against their, what were they called? They're like basic level 6s, I guess you could say. And then they had an elite level 6 team. And I got first against their basic level 6s, but I would have gotten like 5th or 6th against their elite ones. And I remember coming back super excited, like laughing and joking and warming up with the girls. And the coach walked in and she's like, Alyssa, you better knock that smile off your face right now, because she's like, you only got 5th or 6th against their elite level 6s. You have a lot of work to do. And at 12 years old, like, it was a lot. So my mom and dad, my mom and dad noticed that I was having like a lot of like fear and, like going to practice, and I was just kind of scared and everything. And it started becoming something that I just didn't love.
Yeah.
When I don't love something, I don't put my heart into it, and I don't put my soul in nothing. Yeah. Nothing is just put towards that. So I ended up quitting. And I wanted to do high school sports. I ended up starting to play volleyball, track and field. And I was really good at track and field, made state, I don't know, my junior, senior year, in 3 events my junior year, which was 100-meter hurdles, long jump, and the 300 hurdles. No, I made state in long jump and the 300 hurdles my junior year. Yes, I stand for 10 and a half. A lot of people are like,
yeah.
hurdles.
I know, hurdles, like, and long jump. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's, when I first started track and field, my mom was like, you might want to think about doing distance. And I was like, no, I am doing the hurdles because I want to do the hurdles.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. And I was like super confident about it and super just like excited. And I didn't care what anybody thought. And the first day we went to practice, the track coaches were like, I lined up for the hurdles, like those little foam ones. You know what the CrossFitters used that one year? The foam hurdles that they like jumped over.
Yeah.
They stand, I don't know, they stand the same height as the girls. I think they stand 30 inches. So almost like the same height as the like hurdles on the track, which I think are 30 inches. And it was up to my like chest.
Yeah.
Like probably my like the
That
only
is
app that I
gnarly.
have, which is my first one.
Yeah.
And the coaches were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm going to try the hurdles." They're like, "Well, we thought you'd be better as long distance."
Yeah, yeah, I know. But
Yeah, I was like, "Well, I know you guys think that, but I think differently." And I was just like, "Well, why don't you just let me
dude.
try it, wait and see." And that's what I did. I tried it, and it was amazing. And from there on out, just did really well, broke records, made state, and got a scholarship for University of Toledo.
Mhm.
Ended up dropping my scholarship, University of Toledo. I wanted to spend more time with family and do more things with church. So I just went,
Interesting.
yeah,
So
just
you had a good balance from the beginning. You knew some things that were important to you rather than, making the sport everything.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I totally, it's like, you know, college was the days that were like, I remember people always saying like, you never kind of get those days back. And they're right. You don't get those days back. And I never drank or did drugs or did anything. Even in high school, I still don't drink to this day.
Mm.
And I've never done a drug in my whole life. It's just like, I've always been really into sports. And I think that's kind of kept my attention and my focus, and also kept me grounded.
Mhm.
So when I started college sports, it's actually a really interesting story. Um, I signed on with the University of Toledo, and as I signed on, they called me the first week of school, which I think was the first week of indoor track season or something like that. And they're like, "Hey, Alyssa, you can't run this year." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, you didn't take the right classes in high school. You needed this one credit, one course." And I was like, "What does that even mean?" I was
Mhm.
so upset, heartbroken. So I think what ended up happening for me is just the next year, I just kind of fell out of love with it. I was just like,
Yeah.
well, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like putting the work in. It wasn't something I loved. Just like when I started falling out of love with gymnastics, I quit. Same with
Yeah.
track and field. But then I broke my foot skateboarding. That led to the real end of track and field in college. It was the same week I was supposed to tell them I'm quitting, and that ended up happening. So it was like a godsend. Like God was like, literally, you're not running.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then my athletic background is so funny. And then I did start weightlifting when I was 15 years old. It was to get better at
Okay.
track and field. A lot of people don't know that. It was short period of time. It was like every Thursday for like 3 months before high school track season started, which was like in April, I think, or
Mhm.
something like that. Like March. And then so I'd lift December, January, February, and I'd lift a few weekends in March, and then we'd start track and I wouldn't be lifting. So I
Mm.
would lift for like 4 months, once a week. Um,
Mhm. Okay.
and I kind of dabbled in weightlifting when I was younger.
So you were pretty natural going into CrossFit then, because after college it was CrossFit, right?
Yep. So after college, it was CrossFit. And actually, so I did a fitness show. I was really struggling with like figuring out like like after track and field ended, I was like, okay, so what do I want to do? Like, I love the competitive, goal oriented, like space. And I like that with sports. I've just always been an athlete, so I don't really know a lot different. Um, so I was trying to find something that like made me feel like want to put all the work in and go
Yeah.
after it.
Yeah.
And so I did. I found a freaking bikini show.
Mhm.
You've done them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Weird.
it's weird. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, Nat. I hated it. It
Oh,
was
dude, I freaking hated it.
stupid.
Hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. The whole posing thing is just
Yes.
weird. Everything is weird about it.
It's like that. And like, you have to look a certain way. You have to be real hot, and you have to have big boobs, and you like, it doesn't
Fake.
matter. Sometimes, yeah, it doesn't matter like if you look the best, because if they know who you are, like at local meets
Mm.
or at
Mhm.
local shows or whatever they're called,
Yeah.
that's usually the girls they'll pick.
Yeah,
And so,
no, I agree. I hated it, but they do have incredible discipline,
oh my,
incredible.
nothing,
But
nothing
those,
against them.
you don't see the dark side of it though. That's the thing.
No,
Binging
no.
afterwards.
Every freaking sport has a dark side too. And it's like
Yeah.
you see the CrossFit dark side. You see, the weightlifters, there's a dark side. I mean, look at my weight cut.
Mhm.
Like there's a dark side.
Mhm.
People, but like we choose to put ourselves in that dark side. Nobody's
Mhm.
forcing us to be in there. Like when I was little and I was a gymnast, the fact that my parents were like, go ahead, quit. Like they said, you have to finish the season, but you can quit. It's like we put ourselves in that dark side. So it's up to us to say like, when is too enough enough? Like
Mhm.
enough too much, I guess you could say.
Right, right. Yeah.
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 Um,
When is it not serving you anymore? Like the goals that you have really,
yeah. Like when is
you
it
know,
like, is it disheartening? Is it just like, is it not fun? Is it just like something you're
pain
just
and
like,
suffering.
yeah, you're going in the gym and you're like putting time in and you're just coming
Yeah.
in like, excuse my language, pissed off and angry and just like irritated, and nothing in life is cool,
Yeah.
like great. You can't go out and do things you love to do, like hiking,
Yeah.
backpacking, mountain biking. You lose connection with your friends. Like there's times where just enough is enough.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect segue. Because have you ever gotten to that point?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So in track and field, I got to it when I went to college. There was a point
Mm-hmm.
where I was just like, I just want to see my family. I'm just basically in college. I was getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, going to hit weights. And then after that, I had a class at 7. And then from 7 till like 1 o'clock, I had class. Then you had to put on the hours for study hall. So you had to get all these accumulative hours for study hall every week, unless you had this like 4.0 GPA or whatever after your freshman year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like 4.0 student or whatever, 3.5, whatever they required. So I had to put in the hours. And it was just to the point where I was just like, man, what's more important, my like happiness and like the balance, or is it like just track and field and getting yelled at?
Right. Right.
Like to like do, and just like I said, the love was just not there anymore. I just wasn't.
Yeah. That's really great. I think that you figured this out at a young age at gymnastics, is that, hey, my happiness is worth more rather than the podium. And like that did not occur to me until very long, into that game. And that's cool that you knew that, you had that awareness from the get-go, because
Right.
that's what keeps you so good.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. Like these, so here's the thing. I think why I kept this so long is because my parents always let me do what I wanted to do. They
Mm-hmm.
never forced me or pushed me in anything because they wanted to live their dream through me. And a lot of moms in the gymnastics arena are, I mean, look at Aly Raisman. You know who Aly Raisman is? The girl
No.
that stood up. She's beautiful. She's an elite gymnast. She was on the team with Simone Biles. She won the gold. But her parents can't even watch her compete. They
Mm-hmm.
can't watch her do a tumbling pass. They will literally look away and not watch her. Think about that for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
How can you want everything for your daughter and look away
Pressure.
when she does something that she's been working so hard for? It's almost like that position. It's like, who's competing here? You or her? Like,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
what are you praising?
yeah,
Perfection,
like
obviously. And
she's just an excellent athlete. And I think you should just, if she falls, she falls. If she does good, she does good. But they were just like big angry and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm not saying like they were the pushy parents, but sometimes that's like the parents that we saw. It was constant, like they were obese and overweight and bringing their kid in and making
mm,
sure their kids eating good and making sure their kids putting in the exercise time and pushing their kid to be better and be better. And it's like my mom and dad, they never did that. It was always my choice. If I loved it, I could stick with it. If I hated it, I could quit as long as I finished the season.
mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Did you find that point like with CrossFit at all?
oh, yeah. So it's kind of a cool story because I think it's cool that you asked me to do this podcast because my story is, it's a kind of just really unique. When I got to the point of CrossFit, it was, almost made the games in 2000. So I started in 2012, September.
Okay.
I made my first open in 2000, our first regional as an individual in 2013. Got ninth place. And then 2014, I almost went to the games. I missed it by a spot, and it was literally a no rep. And then the next year I trained and trained and trained. I just got this taste in my mouth that I was like, I was so close that I knew if I just put in a little more work, I would probably be able to get there.
Yeah.
Ended up hurting my shoulder in 2015. So I had to sit out 4 months out of the season. Like, it was to the point where I was driving with my head to my deltoid, just like trying to like relax my shoulder. And it wasn't a torn rotator cuff or anything happening. Is just like, it was just a bunch of like, it was just like, I think it was just like, I don't know, strained or sprained, whatever one's like a little less injured or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, who cares? So I ended up doing is going to see a chiropractor, and he was like working on me, not like adjusting me all the time, like, but like he was working soft tissue and bone. And he said, listen, if you just rest for 2 months, he's like, I promise you, when February rolls around, you'll be able to do the open. And like, so 2016, I believe was my last, 2016, 15, I'm trying to think, 15, I did the open, I did really well. And then I ended up getting like, I don't even know, like high up in the super region.
Yeah.
Did really well. And then my last year, I ended up hurting myself right before I went, like a month before I did this workout. It was bar muscle ups and thrusters, and it was super heavy, and something pulled in the back of my hamstring. And the first event on the regional floor for that region that I already qualified for was heavy snatches. It was that like ladder where you went like 135, you have to do 12, and then, you know, it went up and the reps went down.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up injuring myself, and I like panicked because it was 5 weeks out. I was in the best shape of my like CrossFit like journey, and it was like over one workout. I just stood up out of a thruster and heard like a pop like that, and my hamstring just like bust. It didn't bust, but like something wouldn't allow me to like stand up. So what ended up happening is after that regionals, I was really, really frustrated. The last event was rope climbs and thrusters, and I just kind of went through it. And I remember just standing on the floor, looking up at the rope and just being like, when is enough? Like why are you doing this? Like, not even having fun. I was angry. I was frustrated. I remember my boyfriend telling me, like, you're so upset when you come home. You're so frustrated. You're so angry. He's like, I don't know what's wrong. He's like, I don't feel like I can, you know, stick by your side because you're just getting frustrated at me. You're getting angry at me. It's to the point where I was just like, okay, frick. I mean, like, what do I do? Like, I love CrossFit. Do I love CrossFit? I love my boyfriend. I know I love my boyfriend. And I know I love, like, at this point we were in Colorado. I wasn't getting to like experience the mountains and the outdoors. It was just holding me. Oh my God, girl, like boxed, like caged. And it was like, I was in this cage about this big, and it was like CrossFit half, sleep the other half, everything else by like Ben had like maybe a corner, like a bitty corner, like maybe like 1/16. So quit. I ended up National Professional Grid League. I did that. It was like my last year, and my shoulder got destroyed after the season, and the therapist worked on it, and actually it was fine. It was so weird. It was fine. One like hour-and-a-half session of him yanking on my scapula, it didn't hurt ever again. So it was weird. Because I for sure thought I was going to be out again. And then I came home, and Ben's like, listen, He's like, we need to sit down. We need to talk. And I was like, okay.
Cool. Go Ben.
Oh yeah, Natalie. I mean, the only reason I'm very stubborn, and I'm one of those people that like, let me experience, let me have it like happen to me. Let me make the choice of what I want to do, if I want to back out or if I want to continue, because I'm just not the person. I know it sucks, but I am just not the person to listen to somebody and just be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's like, even if I can kind of see it happening, I really have to like 100% make the decision myself.
Yeah. Well, then, because otherwise you're like unhappy in both areas. Like it's like this weird in between.
Yeah. Cause it's like, oh, somebody told me to quit and I wasn't ready to quit. Maybe I should have kept with it for like a couple more years.
So you got this resentment. Yeah.
So I ended up stopping. We sat down and he's like, listen, you can't even hike a mile in the wilderness. And he goes, I know how much you love outdoors. He goes, you can't even ride your mountain bike, you know, on like the trails. Like people that were heavy and overweight were passing me. I'm thinking to myself, CrossFit, take it outdoors, take it out to the outdoors. That's how you should like use your fitness. I'm thinking to myself, dude, I am crushed and I can't do anything outdoors because my training is killing me. So I ended up quitting because of like just all that stuff. I was coming home, like getting exhausted, like getting so mad where I'm like, I hate, today's complex was terrible because I couldn't hit 205 or I couldn't even do 10 pull-ups in a row, or I couldn't even bike this fast. And it was just all negative. And it was like, okay, who is this girl? She's terrible.
Okay. So how did the transition out of that look like? And like, so it sounds like we're finding a good balance, right? Okay. That's too much, right? Of, as far as like committing to a sport, I want to live more. I want to be outside. I want to experience more with my boyfriend. So what did that transition look like?
So I said to myself, like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Well, then lo and behold, my sponsor, Chad Wesley Smith from Juggernaut Training System, was like, hey, well, this is what kind of happened. Sorry. Every time I tell a story, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how it actually happened. I told my boyfriend, I was like, I think what I'm going to do, I made a decision. 2 weeks it took me to make the decision. And I said to him, listen, I'm going to just weightlift. I'm just going to get really strong. That's it. I'm going to take a year off from CrossFit, get really strong, come back in 2018 and try to go to regionals. And that's what I did. And 3 weeks after I decided to make the decision, I started just like lifting, found out who Max Ada was, which is currently my weightlifting coach now, who is. And I reached out. I was like, hey, Chad from Juggernaut, I want to work with Max Ada. I've heard he's really good. I've seen him. I worked with him back in 2014. He was my counter. He counted my numbers in the back room. When I was like a CrossFitter doing weightlifting. And he said, yeah, absolutely. Like, what do you want to do? I was like, I just want to get strong. He's like, okay, why don't you just do weightlifting and just try it out and see if you love it? I was like, I don't want to do another sport. The problem with Alyssa is if she does a sport, she's committed. And if there's a goal, I will do everything I can. I will literally kill myself to make it. Like I will do I'm just not a person that can be half in. And so I told Chad, I was like, sure, but he goes, well, you have to cut to 48. He goes, because you could potentially get $3,000 a month sponsor or stipend from USAW if you do it. And I was like, whoa, money? And I mean, I hate to say that, but like when you're an athlete and you're working for free for 3.5 years and not getting any pay, like, count me in. So I told him, I was like, okay, how many weeks do I have? He goes, 9 weeks. I was like, motherfucker, I have 9 weeks to cut from 55 to 48.
So we're talking 15 pounds.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a lot.
15 pounds. Yep. And so the first 3 kilos, the first 2.5 kilos popped off. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got down to 53 super easy. It was like, just like cutting out sugar, cutting out the crap. Yeah. And then eating macros properly, like eating a certain amount of protein, eating a certain amount of carbs, eating fat. I never followed the diet in CrossFit. So I just want people to know that. I never did. I ate whatever the heck I wanted to eat. I didn't eat enough. And I ate probably way more fat than protein and way more carbs than protein. I wasn't doing ample amounts of anything pretty much, or overeating it. So I started weightlifting and then literally made my first international team right after the first competition I did. And I didn't know what that meant, but it was a huge, huge deal. And medaled at my first Pan Am international team April. I want to say it was in 2017 when I first medaled. And I didn't know what that meant either. I had no idea, but like fast forward to like 2 years later, I was like, oh my God, I medaled at my first international team. What?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so well, actually, where do I want to go with this next? So I guess, how have you been able to create balance, because you're so like all in, and that is something that I find with a lot of sort of very high driven, high performer, not just athletes, but just women, and especially CrossFit women, the ones that are like, I'm going for it, like, and they just go all in, and then when it comes to like them wanting to get in shape, they want to do more and like manage everything, do all the things. And it's really easy to lose that balance, right? To become so obsessed with sort of working out all the time or focusing on my food and getting really trapped in that mindset. So how have you been able to create that? Because that's not what you want, is, the boxed in, trapped in mentality.
Sure. So I've been reading a bunch of books lately, and I think it's just been a huge, it's helped me grow as a person. And I'm also 31, and, I'm not like 20 anymore. I think when we're 20, it's like we think we're unstoppable and we just do anything and everything to try to get to where we want to be, without caring about like our bodies or what we're doing to ourselves mentally and physically. And I think when you start getting older, you start realizing like there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance with like human connection, with diet and with working out, and then with like real world things. You can't always be this like boxed in athlete your whole life. You can, but you gotta like, I have been that athlete for a long time. And when it ends, it's done. So I found out I had a thyroid autoimmune dysfunction in February. The same day I found out that a girl took my Olympic spot. She cut down to the 49 weight class, and Team USA did not tell me this was going to happen. So I had been cutting for 3.5 years, cutting weight. So dropping weight. Yep. For 3.5 years. And the last 6 months to the Olympics, she just decides, I'm going to cut down and take Alyssa's spot. And nobody told me. So no, I did not know this was going to happen. Had I known, I would have been a 55 for those 3 years. I would not have put my body through the stress that it was put through.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's a long time to be doing that and to get sort of
17 weight cuts. 17. So I found out I had thyroid dysfunction, and it had nothing to do with the weight cuts, but the weight cuts stressed my body out so bad that it brought this thyroid autoimmune disease to surface. And what it was is I had a lab draw done just randomly. Ben's like, why don't we get our labs done? Because we should just see what's going on. I was like,
okay.
Sure. I'm probably pretty healthy because I'm pretty healthy. So we think. I feel like elite athletes are not healthy.
No.
In so many ways.
Yes.
The average everyday gym goer, I would say, is more healthy than us elite athletes. Like, We're just mentally, physically, there's so many unhealthy things about us. Nothing wrong with being an elite athlete, but like it takes a very special person to be in this position. You just have to be psychotic a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So I found out after my first lab test that I had a TSH level, which is a thyroid stimulating hormone. I had an 8.74, and the normal TSH level is 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they say it's actually 0.5 to 5, but a real doctor would actually say it's actually in the range of 1 to 2. And I was like, oh well. I was like, I don't know. Ben's like, sits me down again. Ben is my angel. He sits me down again when I come in from training, and we're starting to get to the point where we got in CrossFit. The angry, upset, just frustrated Alyssa coming in from training, like probably since September Worlds last year. Just
and is this like, is training getting higher, more intense, more volume?
It was just, it's super hard. So I had a lot, like even before, actually I'd say before Worlds, after I won all gold in April at Pan Am's in 2019, I took a week and a half off and then immediately started training for Worlds, which had been in September. And I had the best training cycle ever. I was hitting numbers I've never hit. I was like jacked out of my mind. I was just doing so good. And we were like, oh, heck yeah, we're going to go for like 87, or we're going to go for 85, 87 in the snatch kilos. And then we're going to go for like 110, 112. No even question about it. And that for sure would have put me like second in the world, second, or like without the Chinese in there. Well, one of the Chinese girls. And so we were just like, yeah, let's do it. And then I got to Worlds and my weight cut went to shit. Like my weight wouldn't come off. Nothing was going down.
This is after the labs. No.
This was before. I'm sorry.
Before the labs. Okay.
Lab December of 2019. I had Worlds in 2019 September.
Okay.
So I go out there and I get I'm just like, I'm like, okay, I can snap out of this. I'm fine.
Yeah. And let's just kind of hash out. You're like an expert at weight cuts. Like you got that stuff down to a T.
Yeah. I did it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I won all gold at Pan Am's. All gold. Went 6 for 6. Did awesome. Weight cut was bomb. Yeah. Went to Worlds. Bombed the weight cut. Had no idea. Did everything the same. I ate the same leading up to Worlds as I did Pan Am's. I did the same exact weight cut, started it at the same time. It took me 5.5 hours to lose the weight I needed at Worlds. It took me 2 hours to lose the weight for Pan Am's. So double the amount of time. And it just, think about that. If your body takes 5.5 hours, you need at least half of that time to recover. And you don't have that. Especially at Worlds, I was in the A class, so I had to start like first because I had the lowest numbers out of like the girls that like dope out of their mind. So like, I mean, let's just say it how it is. I mean, let's just not sugarcoat it, because I mean, every girl has popped since I've been like, I think I've had 6 girls pop since I've like been in this sport, and I've only been in the sport for 3.5 years. It's just frustrating because you put in all this hard work and then these girls are just doing that. Yeah. It's like, guys, like, come on. So I come home from that, and that's really hard because that was the last meet I really needed to put myself in a great position for even Jordan not to steal my spot.
Okay.
And I didn't know she was doing this. So Worlds went bad. I had to go to Peru, which was 5 weeks later, and go compete. My weight did not come off again.
Okay.
And then I went to American Open 7 weeks later. So we're talking weight cut, 3 times in a row.
Okay.
And I competed American Open, I think I did really well, but I wasn't able to like I wasn't able to pull up the total I needed, but I can tell you I've had the most heart that I've ever had there.
Okay.
I ended up not making the Pan Am team. I needed like a 106 on my clean and jerk, and I've never taken 106 twice on the stage. And I stood it the first clean up, over jerked it on my first attempt, like just push that sucker up. I'm known for like really good jerks. My best jerk is 120 kilo. That's basically as much as like a 59 kilos to 64 kilo girl. And I'm a 49. And then the second attempt I went 106 again, and I cleaned it, but I almost passed out, which was the first time that ever happened. That was weird. And I was like holding the bar, trying not to fall back and pass out and black out. And my coach is like, drop it. And I'm like, no. So yeah, so that happened. And then I came home and Ben's like, listen, blood draw. We're going to get our blood drawn.
Yeah.
We're going to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Got the back. Saw it was high.
And were there any other symptoms? Because I mean, here you are, you're lifting these numbers. You felt awesome on this, on that jerk. So it's like the body was still doing, like it was still performing. It's like, it almost does what it has to do, but the weight wouldn't come off because it was too stressed out. Was there any other symptoms that were happening that you knew something was up?
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was going to say is like, I was depressed internally. Okay. I didn't know. I would never label myself as that. People would think like, how, Alyssa, you are always happy. Yeah. Such a nice person. Like, how do you mean? I'm like, you see me for like a second on social media, or you see me for like a second in real life. Like, who sees me the most is Ben. And that boy knows that there was something wrong. He was fighting the relationship for us. And I was just like trying to survive. I would get up, I'd go train, and I'd be in my pajamas the rest of the day. And we're talking like a 9 to 11:30 training session, pajamas.
Yeah. So it was just only train. Just do what I had to do, and then that was it.
Everything trained. There's some days I couldn't even walk the dog. I have bilateral carpal tunnel syndrome where my hands fall asleep at night. That's a sign of thyroid dysfunction. I had my hair was starting to thin, a lot of hair falling out. I don't sweat at all. I'm like at all. Like I would be done with a workout and people would be like, you worked out? Mm-hmm. And my hair, I could go out and like wear a beautiful dress and hair down and nothing. I look like I just got done with the freaking fashion show in the gym instead of working out and doing a brutal hard workout. I was just hanging on. My weight cuts, like your metabolism doesn't work when you have a thyroid dysfunction. Like nothing works. Like if people look it up and see how the thyroid functions and see how everything works in unison, everything that I did is against the grain. Yeah. I don't even know how I did it. My dietitian was like, Alyssa, I can tell you one thing, that you are a freaking stud. She's like, because the fact that you cut weight and had a thyroid dysfunction this whole time, she's like, unreal. Yeah. But that is why, Natalie, that is why I quit CrossFit, is the thyroid dysfunction. This has been going on for 6 freaking plus years. So I have never been happier, healthier, better than I've ever have since I've been on the levothyroxine medication that I've been taking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really good.
And what else? I mean, obviously, like, it's not just the medication. So what are you doing? Okay, let's talk about, how has training changed to get healthier, to feel this amazing that you feel?
I just came to my senses when I found out that I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. That morning, Jordan, did a really good total in Rome. And I knew she was like going to take my spot. I had a really hard time for a month thinking like, oh my gosh, what's next? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't ever let the Olympics define who I was. And that was the biggest part of it, is if you let your achievements and your goals define who you are, you're going to lose yourself in all of it. Because when you get third, or when you get fourth, or when you don't make the Olympic team, and everything else is like based on that, let me tell you, sweetheart, it's going to hurt real bad.
Yeah.
You're never going to recover from it, because it's going to be like, if that's your life, you need to step back and think about what you're doing to yourself, how much pressure you're putting on yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's never,
it's hard.
It is hard. I mean, I get it. Sports are awesome and they're cool, but don't make of everything in your life, because if you do, when you do crash and burn, or when you get hurt, or when you can't make the Olympic team, or when you just can't show up at the gym, it's gonna start messing with your mind.
Yeah, and the same goes for just your general public who just want to look fit, right? Where they're just obsessing over that. And the reason that like their obsession is the reason why like they can't live that life, that happy life that they want.
Yeah.
They're miserable all the time. You know, they're craving food. They're obsessed with food because they aren't living that sort of freer lifestyle.
Yeah. Once you realize that it has to be balanced, and you have to be like, okay, I'm going to eat this cookie this weekend because I deserve it and I put in the work. Like, that 6-pack is so hard to get that you have to realize like what it takes to get it, how much discipline it takes to have it. And then like, is it worth like being like, frick it, I'm not going to have that cookie. I'm not going to go talk to my friends because I don't have any energy, or I want to save energy for my workout. Remember what you're living for here.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you want?
You're living like to go out, like you're using your fitness to go outside and do things. Like, if you're not trying to go to the CrossFit Games or trying to be an Olympian, what are you doing? Like, just be healthy and eat good, and like go outside and do things outside, like, and go hang out with your friends, and like make it priority to like have a connection with people, and like grow your mind, and like read books and walk your dog, because Rick, I know a lot of people don't walk their dogs. And just like do things that make you happy. Like, you don't need to like lift a barbell to look cool. Like you can do so many other things. And you can be healthy without being psychotic. Like,
you can be fit.
Yeah. I know so many girls and so many men that just put in like 30 minutes a day, eat good all week, not obsess over it, but eat good. Like, my boyfriend, he's going to school to be a CRNA, certified registered nurse anesthetist. And that is a very stressful job, if people know what it is. It's the person that puts you to sleep before surgery. It's the nurse. And he balances eating well, studying. We're trying to move. We have a dog. He has me, our relationship. And then on top of that, he stays fit. He stays in the gym. He sets a timer for like an hour and a half, depending on how much time he has. And he gets in there whenever he can, but he doesn't over stress it, overdo it. So like the fact that he can do that, like, I feel like anybody can keep up with their fitness and their health if they only even have 30 minutes a day.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're just going to take a really quick break. Just so you know, every day I post some really awesome info on how women can get better results to getting lean in the kitchen and in the gym. So be sure to check me out on Instagram at natalie.newhart to take all of my unique secrets and start applying them today. All right, let's get back to the show. What does your schedule look like? How are you doing that? How are you staying fit without being psychotic about it?
It's one of those things where I'm just like, I remember like what makes me happy. Like, if I'm getting up and I'm stressing out about something, like, oh my gosh, I'm stressing out because I have to work out. I have to get my accessory done. I have to eat good. I have to do this. It's just like, I'm allowing myself to make mistakes and be okay with it. Like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to eat the best I can today. And I'm going to feel good. My number one goal is to feel good when I go to bed. And like, if I can get up and if I have a dang chocolate chip cookie or a scone, for example, this morning I had a scone. I had coffee with a scone. I felt great. I was fine. But like, I also don't have a 6-pack. And that doesn't matter to me, because like, my body is a reflection of happiness, balance, and like being like just free to do what I want. I can go mountain biking now. I try to get out and go outside at least once a week, I try to do an outside activity, like whether it's mountain biking or taking my dog to the PARK, because I can't say that because he's sitting right over here. I tried to make sure we play like badminton or spike ball. I try to make sure that I'm going out and talking to my friends. Like, I know the whole COVID thing is killing us with that, but like, we have neighbors that are great friends of ours. Like, I try to make sure I'm going out and talking to them. I call my best friend every week to talk to her in the morning. And you know how much I miss that? It kind of makes me mad how much I stayed away from friends for 3.5 years because of my sport. It's like kind of heartbreaking to me, because it's like, if I could tell anybody one thing, is don't give up your friends for gym time and for a sport. Because I tell you what, you will regret it. And I do regret. That's one thing I regret from staying in. And it really wasn't my fault. I mean, I had the thyroid thing going on. I had just no energy. And all this, the sport took to be an Olympian, you have to be so hard and so you have to be perfect. It takes a lot of perfection, and it's not realistic. So I would say the balance basically comes from just making sure that I am happy at the end of the day and I feel good with what I did and put in, like work for the day.
And what does your training look like right now? How much, how often?
Yeah. I'm training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And it kind of like, I follow Juggernaut AI programming, and they basically take your body weight, height, everything, put it into a computer system, this like robotic thing. This took them like years to put this together. And then it pops out workouts for you, like a month workout. So I'm following that right now. I love it, actually. I do 3 days a week. So what I do is I take 2 lifts for Monday, then I take the other 2 lifts for Tuesday, and then so it's like I break up that 3 days into 5 days. And then I add some CrossFit in, like a workout. Like today I did Murph, like I did snatches, front squat, Murph. So
are you tracking, are you tracking food or anything with that, or just eating freely, intuitively?
I still like to weigh my food, 'cause for me with Hashimoto's, I have to make sure that I'm getting the appropriate amount. I don't spike my blood sugar, or I don't get enough like protein for the day. My macros are pretty important. So I am trying to track, but like I said, I had a scone this morning. So it's like, I'm not too crazy. Yeah. If I want it, I'm going to have it. That's just who I am. But I have to make sure that, like, 2 things. I'm trying, the scone definitely was not gluten-free, but I changed my eating habits to gluten-free, dairy-free. But when I'm cheating on cheat meals on the weekend, if it has dairy in it or gluten, I still eat it.
Okay. So you do cheat meals on the weekends then?
I try to do just one. Honestly, I just feel better eating good. Like I sleep better, I recover better, I train better. Overall, like, I've had a poor diet like kind of my whole life before weightlifting, and I've never felt better like with a good diet. And dude, I weight cut for 3.5 years. I ain't giving up calories anymore. My calories before were like, this is so terrible. It's terrible, but then I hear women telling me what they eat, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
dude, I'm eating more than you on a weight cut.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Try to tell me I'm a poor example of like a person like working out and stuff. I was like, you're a poor example too. Like, yogurt and peanut butter, that's what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm like, dude, like, eat some protein.
And then they wonder why they can't control themselves on the weekend.
And I know. Honestly, if you don't get the appropriate amount of macros and you don't eat the appropriate amount of calories for the week, you're going to binge. Because whenever I eat great for the day, my macros are on point, and then my calories are on point. No cravings. Nothing. I don't even want it. Yep. But when I don't eat enough, My cravings
Yes.
are hard. I want a chocolate
Yeah.
chip cookie. I want ice cream. I want cake. I want brownies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turn into Cookie Monster, dude.
Dude,
It controls you.
yes, it does. It seriously, and it's just, that's how I was during my weight cuts. I was like, oh my God, I want everything. I want everything. I want
Yes.
everything. Because I think I was getting like 11 to 1300 calories. And now I'm getting 2000 calories.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
not limiting myself. If
Yeah.
I mean, like, I am at a good body weight to where my body is healthy and happy. Before I was at that kind of body weight, but there was always the weight cut, the constant weight cuts every few months because we had to compete.
Yeah. Weight cuts plus irritability and, kind of an obsession around food, right?
Yeah.
Out of control,
Yep.
binges. Yeah.
Oh my God, 1 gram of rice, it's going to be more carbs.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you what, ladies, for everyone listening, carbs aren't the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, they aren't. Like, neither's protein. Like, the fact that women think that, oh, I just can't eat too much protein, I'm just gonna get big. You're not gonna get big. You can't get big by just eating protein. I guarantee if you follow a strength cycle for a year, you're probably still not gonna get big because you're not actually stressing your muscles the way they need to be stressed.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it
Seriously.
just,
Especially right now.
Yeah. It takes so much work to get like this built and this big. Like, this body has been built over freaking 20 some years. Like, this isn't just built overnight. This is 20 years of work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, Alyssa. Well, let's do one final question. So what is your one piece of advice for the women out there that keep getting stuck in the belief that more is better? I got to do more workouts. I got to restrict more food. I got to do more cardio in order to look fit.
Yeah, it's false because, like, your body needs rest and recovery in order to make gains. I mean, it's just scientifically proven.
And to lose weight like you did.
Yeah. There's actually a story that I read in one of the books that I was reading about Hashimoto's. She had the lady was walking like 2.5 hours. She was doing so much like stress on her body. She was walking and walking and walking. And the lady's like, okay, just walk 30 minutes. And if you don't feel like walking, don't walk. She ended up losing 15 pounds.
I know.
We're talking an hour and a half less of workout to 30 minutes. Like, how can I stress this?
I know.
Like, less is more. And it's so proven. Like, the one thing if I could give one advice to women out there is eat good, which means eat the appropriate amount of macros. Because if you eat too little, you're going to harm your metabolism, and your metabolism is going to slow down. And then, like, you're going to gain weight. It's just going to stay on. And then just work out. Like, I don't know, you could do 30 minutes a day, a nice HIIT workout, and you'd be fine. And you could rest 2 days a week. Like, it's literally about balance. When you become just this person that is just working out and just eating just to like be a healthy looking human that wants to look good. Because by golly, if you want to look good, you look good. You know what I mean? Go ahead and look good. Like, I'm tired of people saying like, you don't need to look good. I don't work out to look good. I'm like, no,
look good. Look good, feel good.
Yeah. I'm like, I look great.
Yeah.
So I feel good. Exactly. Like, you don't have to be a psychopath in the gym. You don't have to be a psychopath about your diet. Like I said, if you just have some balance in both areas, you're going to reap the benefits so much faster than anybody. I mean,
girls, yeah. And you're learning it from us who have done it to the extreme,
for 20 years. Yep.
It doesn't work.
Yep. And it's like, I mean, Natalie, it's a prime example. Like, back in my CrossFit days, I had a poor diet and I was putting in 5.5 hours of training and my belly was bigger than it is. I mean, granted, I'm so small put. So when I say bigger, I'm like, you know what I mean? I was probably like 120, but like super less muscle mass and like a lot more fat. And it was just because I didn't eat a balanced diet. I wasn't eating enough. That's the funny part. I was eating less than I am now. And now I'm more muscular, more lean, and happier.
And feel better, which is number one.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's not all about the gym all the time. And it's not all about like,
No,
I mean, there's just so much more to life. Go
so
travel.
much,
It just
so
go see
much.
the world, go do things, get outdoors. Like, just,
Hell yeah, girl.
you can have a
That
chocolate
was,
chip when you want it.
oh yes. Yes. Cause it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna take the edge off.
Yeah.
Awesome, girl. That was amazing. It was so perfect. Where can people find you and follow you?
So you can find me on my social media platform. Like, I don't really use my Facebook anymore, but at Alyssa Ritchey 1, the number 1 is my Instagram. And then www.mynamealyssaritchey.com is my website.
Cool.
I'm currently doing like these, like, well, soon when we figure out where we're going to move, which I think we're going to be in Asheville, North Carolina. Surprise, surprise. I think I'm going to start doing like mental and physical growth retreats for women, men. Yeah. So like, but adventure ones. I'm doing one in Thailand in next year because I had to postpone because of COVID. But I'm doing one in Thailand, so that's really exciting. I'm doing a weightlifting retreat plus adventure.
Awesome.
So the whole week is going to be filled with amazing activities.
Awesome.
And a bunch of weightlifting. But
cool.
Not too much.
Hell yeah.
We're doing a lot. But I think that's it. Oh yeah, and I have a podcast. It's called the Bitty Strong Podcast. You can find it on iTunes and Spotify, and it's an excellent mix of material from struggling to succeeding, from athletes to just real people just having real problems. And yeah, I try to post every Monday except this Monday. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, girl. Thanks so much for being here. That was amazing. It was so perfect. I loved everything you had to say. And I think it was just really enlightening for exactly what people need to hear. So yeah. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, girl. All right. I'm going to go hit up Murph. So we'll see you later.
Go get it, girl.
All right. See you, man. Bye. Bye.